The deer is wounded. You can see the blood trail in the brambles, and it weakened as it jumped. Our young lord has made a hit, magnificent. By San Saturio, patron of Soria, stop them together at their trees. Release the dogs. Blow those trumpets with all your might. Don't you see it's heading towards the poplar spring? If it reaches there before it dies, we will have lost it. The mountains of Moncayo echoed with the sound of the trumpets, the barking of the hounds and the voices of the pages. The confused troop of men, horses and dogs headed towards the point indicated by Gabriel, the chief gamekeeper of the Marquises of Minar. When the dog arrived panting and with its mouth open, full of foam, the deer had already jumped into the scrub oaks and got lost among the bushes leading to the spring. Stop! Stop, everyone. It was God's will that he had to leave, Gabriel said. The procession stopped, the trumpets fell silent, and the dogs ceased to follow the trail. At that moment, Fernando de la Gensola, the young nobleman and leader of the hunt, joined the group. What are you doing? Do you see that Serba is injured? Who is the first to fall by my hand? And you abandon the trail. Do you think I've come to kill deer to feed wolves? Fernando exclaimed, addressing his gamekeeper. Gentlemen, he replies, it's impossible to pass through that point, Gabriel murmured under his breath. Impossible. And why? Because that path leads to the spring of the poplars, where an evil spirit lives. Who disturbs its waters will pay for their boldness. We hunters dominate the Moncayo, but any animal that reaches that spring is doomed. Lost deer. I'd rather lose my parents' lands than let him escape. He's the only one I've injured. Look, you can still see it from afar. Let me go. Let go of Saturio, or I'll make you fall. Lalapago, my dear horse, if you catch him, I will give you diamonds from my necklace. Ignoring the warnings, Fernando launched himself after the deer with determination. He decided to capture it no matter the risks. The horse and rider took off like a hurricane. Gabriel followed him with his eyes until they disappeared into the underbrush. Everyone, like him, remained still and troubled. Fernando, the chief hunter, he exclaimed in the end. Gentlemen, you have seen it. I risked my life to stop him. I fulfilled my duty. With the devil, bravery doesn't help. Until the hunter arrives with his crossbow, and from here on, let the chaplain pass with his holy water. Days later, after the hunt at the Alamo Spring, Fernando had changed. His behavior was a bit unusual, and he seemed distant, which worried his loved ones. Gabriel, the hunter, noticed his change and decided to confront him. You no longer roam the hills with the house dogs, nor do the sounds of your trumpets echo in the forest. Every morning, alone and lost in your thoughts, you take your shotgun and head into the woods until nightfall. You return, paleo-rested. You don't bring any trophy home. What keeps you away from those of us who care about you for so many hours? While Gabriel was talking, Fernando, lost in his thoughts, was picking splinters from his ebony seat with a hunting knife. After a long silence, interrupted only by the sound of a knife blade sliding over the wood, Fernando spoke to his servant, as if he hadn't heard a word of what he had said. Gabriel, you who are old, and you know all the trails of Moncayo, having lived hunting beasts on its slopes and having climbed to its summit many times, tell me, have you ever found a woman that you saw in its rocks? A woman, exclaimed the surprised hunter, staring at him. "Yes," the young man said, "it's something very strange that's happening to me. I thought I could keep this secret forever, but I can't anymore. It's in my heart and it shows on my face. I'm going to tell you. You will help me solve this mystery of the creature that seems to exist just for me. No one can, no one knows her, nor has anyone seen her. Since the day I, despite your warnings, arrived at the spring of the poplars and retrieved the servant you let escape out of superstition, my soul has been filled with longing and loneliness. You don't know that place. The fountain springs up hidden, and its drops fall forming a chaos that reaches a small lake, whose sound is like wails and saws. I've sat here alone, listening to those noises. Everything in that place intoxicates the spirit. The leaves, the rocks, and the waters seem to speak. When you saw me take the crossbow at dawn, it wasn't a hunt. I was going to sit by the edge of a spring, looking for something I don't even know what it is. Crazy. The day I jumped over the spring, I thought I saw a woman's eyes in the water. It could have been a ray of sunshine, but I saw a gaze that ignited an impossible desire. Since then, I've been searching for that person day after day. One afternoon, I found her at the fountain. A beautiful woman with golden hair and eyes of an impossible color, the same as in my dreams. "Green," Gabriel exclaimed in terror. Fernando, surprised, he asked, "Do you know her?" "No. I was free to meet her, but my parents told me that the spirit or demon that lives in those waters has eyes of that color. I beg you not to go back to the poplar spring. One day, its vengeance will catch up to you, and you'll die for having disturbed its waters. For the love of everything I hold dear." Fernando murmured sadly, but Gabriel interrupted him, saying yes, for your parents, for your loved ones, and for the woman that fate has in store for you in the sky. You know what I desire most in this world. Just one look from those eyes would be worth all my father's love, my mother's kisses, and the affection of all the women. I can't stop looking for them. Fernando said. These words were spoken with such anxiety that a tear fell from Gabriel's eye, who, in a somber voice, said, "May the will of heaven be done." Fernando, deeply in love and desperate to learn more about the mysterious woman with green eyes, keeps visiting the spring. He has finally found her. He kneels before her, begging her to reveal her identity and origin. "Who are you? What is your homeland? Where do you live? I come to look for you day after day, but I don't see how you get here. Break that veil of mystery that surrounds you. I love you, and I will be yours, noble or villain." On the rock, the firstborn of Almanar kneels before his mysterious lover, trying to uncover her secret. She, beautiful and pale, had curls that fell over her shoulders, and her eyes sparkled like emeralds. Fernando, desperate, exclaimed, "You don't answer, you're a woman." "Oh, a demon." And she finally answered, "And what if I were?" Fernando, fascinated by her glow, said, "If you were, I would love you just the same, beyond this life." She, beautiful and pale, spoke to him with a melodious voice. "Fernando, I love you more than you love me. I am a pure spirit, not an earthly woman. I live at the bottom of these waters and reward with my love those who are worthy like you." Fernando, fascinated by her beauty, moved closer to the edge of the rock as she continued. It's the bottom of that lake. It will give us a bed of emeralds and corals. Come. I will give you an unnamed happiness. Come. Come. The night stretched on. The moon shone on the lake and the mist swirled, while the green eyes glimmered in the darkness. Come. Come, they whispered in Fernando's ears, calling him to the edge of the abyss to offer him a kiss. Fernando took a step, then another, and he felt cold, thin arms around his neck. Fernando hesitated, terrified, lost his footing, and fell into the water with a dull thud. The waters closed over his body, leaving only the echo of his last words, and the silver circles spread out until they faded at the shore, taking the young lover with them. And so this story concludes, where the supernatural and love intertwine in a fatal destiny. Remember that not everything that seems beautiful and seductive is safe, and that sometimes chasing the impossible can have fatal consequences. Have you ever asked yourself how far you're willing to go for what you desire?